Hello, Primary 5 students. Good afternoon. Um, I'd like to first start by apologizing to us all for the issues that didn't allow me to come on to the class today on the Zoom video class. I had some network issues which I needed to rectify, but I basically couldn't do that. But I came in a few minutes and I was able to listen to part of the class that Mrs. Falcon was taking on my behalf, and I came in at the part where she was talking about the different crafts that were being taught in school and being able to make good use of those crafts by being able to sell what we have, saving money to start, investing in business, and all of that. I'm going to take it off from that angle because the topic we're looking at today is actually related to that particular area which I came in. The topic this time around, as you see on the Edmodo app, is the market. Your marketplace as entrepreneurs. Basically, what is the marketplace? Marketplace is where two parties come together: the entrepreneur, which is the seller, and the buyer, which is your customer. The two parties will come together and meet at a particular location so that they can sell what it is the seller is putting on the market, and the buyer can buy at a fairly competitive price. So from your notes, the definition I gave us was a marketplace. A market is a place where two parties can gather to facilitate the exchange of goods and services, and these parties usually include the buyer and the seller. So your marketplace may be a physical marketplace, like a retail outlet where people meet face to face. It could be a virtual market, like your online market, like Konga, like Jumia, Alibaba, AliExpress, where you meet and then you're there, you already have your buyer, they've posted the pictures of what they want to sell, you click on it and buy and pay. So we also, as part of the topic, we're also going to be looking at a few other things which include the mechanisms of market. We're going to be looking at what determines the type of market that you will be selling at, and we're also going to be looking at or listing different types of markets, but I will explain two of those types of market for us as well. So what are the mechanisms of the market? So basically, the market for products and services is determined by a few things. It's determined by the availability of the existing and potential customers. It's determined by the availability of the product, being able to supply. It's determined by the demand for that product. It's determined by a whole lot of other things. It's determined by the willingness of the buyer to buy your product. It's impossible for an entrepreneur to succeed if there are not people are not willing to buy, if people are not willing to pay for what they want to buy. So there must be a willingness and ability to buy and pay for whatever product or service. So what are these mechanisms that helps a market to operate fairly well? Now, I've listed a few here. The first of them is the price of your product or service. If the price is not fair, if the price is not competitive, it becomes difficult for you to be able to sell to the customer. And if that comes, then that means that it becomes difficult for you to either go to the market, or it becomes difficult for the buyer, the customer, to come to the market where you are. So if you want them to come to a place where you are, your price has to be fair and competitive. Another one is your ability to communicate. The ability to communicate your product, the ability to communicate your price, the ability to communicate the value or benefit of what the customer is buying. So if you can't communicate and pass across this information, you know, um, the need to meet will will not be met. So you have to be able to communicate to them. And then the other one is your ability to facilitate deals and transactions. You know, if you're not, there's a particular saying that goes like that as a good salesperson should be able to sell sand to the Arabians, you know. And there is another one in the Nigerian context that says that a good salesperson in Nigeria should be able to sell shit to anybody. So, you know, facilitating deals or transactions means your ability to sell, you know, your ability to convince someone to buy, to convince to, you know, the ability to let them make it impossible for them to say no to what you're selling. That's facilitating a deal or a transaction. So you need to be able to do this at the marketplace. You know, when you and the customer comes together, you should be able to facilitate a sale, and both of you go home happy. You know, you being that you're the entrepreneur, you've been able to sell your product. The customer, being the buyer, has been able to buy in exchange for his or her home money and take the product home for use. So we'll be able to facilitate that. Then effecting distribution. You know, there are times that we're selling products and we have clients or customers far away. You know, we need to be effective. We need to be able to effectively get the product across to them, or get the service across to wherever it is they are. For example, you're staying in Aguda, you know, somebody in Ikeja wants to buy your bead, wants to buy your Ankara product or your donut or whatever it is that you're selling. You know, you must be able to get this across to them, you know, which is very important. So these are the mechanisms of the marketplace that we need to consider when we are participating in the market transaction. So the next thing we are looking at is what determines the type of market. So we have different types of market, but for you to be able to determine what type of market you want to be involved in, you will need to also be able to understand a few things. You know, those things could be as little as could be something like the kind of product you're selling. You know, if you're selling cars, for example, you cannot take your car to ShopRite to sell. You know, if for example you're selling shares, company shares, you cannot take your company shares to ShopRite. You cannot take it to Aguda Market, you know. But if you're selling something like notebooks, food, raw food, dry goods, fish, uncooked fish, and all of that, you can take that to ShopRite. You can take that to um you can take that to your shopping mall, your local market, and all of that. So these are things that we're looking at. The kind of product determines the type of market. The other thing is the location of the market. You know, your location determines the type of market. If I am inside ShopRite, it is impossible for me to now say inside ShopRite I'm going to be selling things that people will not buy. You know, we know the type of things that are sold in ShopRite, so we know that at that market, this is the type of things that I will sell. Now, the next one is the duration. Duration basically is how long are we open. You know, duration also means the expiry date of our product, the lifespan of our product. It also means how available our product is. For example, if I'm a restaurant, or I'm a restaurant inside of a shopping mall, so you know that as a restaurant, there's a time I have to open and a time I have to close. And duration also means that I have to make meals on a daily basis. It is not a beef roll that is packaged, that is already in a carton, that has to be eaten within the next 2 weeks. Now, if I am selling fried rice, for example, I know that on a daily basis I must make fried rice, because the duration for the product that I'm selling should not be more than 24 hours. That's one. Then another part of the duration is, when do I open my shop, when do I close? So those are the things, and those will determine where or what type of market. Are my products, are they seasonal? Some things you can only buy during Christmas, or they sell better at Christmas, or they sell better at Ileya, or they sell better at particular times, maybe Harmattan period, summer period, and all of that. Then the next one is the size. What is the size of your product? What is the size of the market where you're selling the product? That is important when you're determining the type of market that you're going to be involved in. Then the constituency of your customer base. Constituency basically means age, the gender of your customer, whether they are male, female, age, whether they are old, young, adult, children, teenagers. It also means the race of your customers. Maybe they are black or white, Chinese. It also means the ethnicity of the customers. Also, if you are selling cola now, you know that Yorubas don't use cola. Except maybe one person that maybe eats cola on their own. But if you're in the east, or you're selling to people that are from the east, it's easier for you to get more customers, because any event somebody from the eastern part of Nigeria is doing, they require the cola nut to welcome visitors. You hear something like, he who brings cola brings life. So things like that. So these are the things that will determine the type of market you're going into, whether it's a retail market, whether it's an online market, whether it's an industrial market or financial market, and all of that. And then another one is the legality as well. Legalities, or the legal parameters, can affect the type of market. For example, if you're registered as a bank, you can only sell in the financial market. You cannot be a bank and then go to the retail market to sell, or go to the auction market to sell, or things like that. So these legalities are set there to help us guide who we sell to and how we sell. So it is also very important to know and to have an understanding of all these things. Another area of legality is that there are some products that you can import, there are some products that you can export, there are some products that are allowed into the country, there are some products that are not allowed into the country. For example, in Nigeria now, there is a legal structure put down by the federal government that says that you can't import rice. So if you're the type of person that sells rice, you will sell local rice. So your type of market will be a market where local farmers meet, and you buy from them and sell on the retail market. So all of these legalities, you need to understand it before you actually know what type of market you're going into and what kind of business it is that you want to do. Then we look finally at the type of markets. I've listed, if you look at your lesson note on the Edmodo app, I've listed various types of markets. You have the physical retail market, which is obtainable everywhere. Your Agba market or Paco market is an example of that. Your ShopRite shopping mall is an example of that. Spa is an example of that. They are retail markets. Even the supermarket on your street is an example of a physical retail market. Then you also have your online market, things like Konga, Jumia, Alibaba, AliExpress. You have your industrial market, where producers buy raw materials from farmers, from producers of raw materials, from other manufacturing companies. You have your stock markets where individuals and organizations go to buy shares of companies or buy trade, buy bonds and all of that. You have the financial market, you have the auction market where specific things are sold and people buy by bidding for them. Maybe somebody wants to buy a statue of Oferenwe Nagbaise, and it's on auction. There's a specific location, so they can tell you there's an auction going on at Terraculture in Victoria Land, and that thing is understand. Everybody has a bidding number, and then there will be somebody, the auction person, the auctioneer, um, will be there to say, this time around on our stand we have the statue of Overwenen Agbaise, and bidding starts at 1 million naira. Okay, then you hear somebody and you hear him say, can I have 1,000,000, 100,000, or 1.5 million? Somebody raises up his hand and says 1.5 million. Then he says, I have 1.5 million, can I have 2 million? Then somebody raises up a hand for 2 million and says, I have 2 million, can I have 5 million? It keeps going on like that until we have going, gone, where somebody has been able to buy that particular product. Then you have black market. Black market basically is where people go to buy things that are not normally sold on the open market. Most times a black market is illegal, and most times a black market is where you buy things that otherwise nobody is allowed to sell. So you have that. So all of these markets are important for us all, and even though we still have some of them. Okay, so we also have trade fairs and exhibition. We do trade fair in our school every year, where each student from primary 4 to 6 has an opportunity to produce things and sell to parents and visitors on open day. So you have trade fairs as well as one of the different types of markets that are available or obtainable. So this type of market is not an everyday market. It's not something that happens on a regular basis. Most trade fairs happen once a year. So you go there, you get a stand or a stall, you display your products, and then you sell to people that come in, pass by your stall and stuff like that. So you need to be very savvy, to be able to get their attention and encourage them to buy what you're selling. So that covers the topic for today. On the Edmodo app, I've also put down an assignment for us to do, and the assignment says briefly explain the different types of markets. So the different types of market that has been listed, you need to give me an explanation of each one, so that I know that you have an understanding of what you have learned. You can do a research on each one, understand it better, and then submit your assignment. One thing we need to know is that the assignment has a deadline. So assignment and the deadline is locked. So once you don't submit before that deadline, the lock comes into play and you can't submit again. So we need to do the assignment before that time and submit it. So thank you very much. I hope we're all enjoying ourselves. We are trying. The school is trying their best to ensure that we don't miss so much during this period of lockdown. And if you have any questions relating to the video, please feel free to ask questions and all of that. Have a nice day.